Hi guys, my name is Elijah Bordenave. I am a self-taught professional makeup artist. I've been doing makeup for about 7 years full time now. I currently reside in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm originally born in St. Louis and then a transplant from Toledo, Ohio to Atlanta. I have been working with Teknique for about 6 or 7 years. I had the awesome opportunity when I first moved to Atlanta to kind of do like an audition. They had like hosted a class. I attended the class, got to demo some of my skills, and from there I was hired on. So it's been an awesome experience thus far. I'm working on TV and film and all that good stuff. So today we are going to jump into an awesome pure and natural beauty demo. This is my lovely model, Destiny.
Hi.
So today we are really gonna just focus on skin. That's like my main focus of the day. It's just showing you how to get some awesome, amazing skin and be out the door and last you all day, okay? So we have some amazing products here. My first product that I'm going to be using is called Slay All Day. It's a Gerard Cosmetics makeup spray. It's actually a setting spray, but I tend to like to use this at the beginning before I even start applying makeup. I feel it just gives an extra layer of moisture, something for me to base myself with. So I'm gonna have my model close her eyes, and then I'm just going to spray this, focusing all over the face. If it gets on the chest, how does that feel?
Feel good.
Hydrating?
Very
Yeah.
hydrating.
It's kind of like getting like a mist of water to your face. So just like kind of recharge. So while that is setting, I like to go in first and I like to prep my brows. I'm just going to go in with a clear brow gel. And what I like to do is I just like to take the brow gel and apply a little to the brows, combing the brows up in their natural format. It's going to give me something for my brow product to actually stick to and help me create a more so natural wispy brow. So at the beginning of a brow, you see they go up. So I'm just brushing them up towards the middle, kind of out, and towards the end, we're going to brush them down. And if you can see the difference between her two brows, it kind of is just created like the natural growth of her hair shape. So it kind of just helps me with my placement that I'm going to lay that brow product down in a few minutes. So we're going to do the same on the other. Just brushing up and down. So now that that is done, we are going to allow that to dry. Probably takes typically about like 3 to 5 minutes, I'd say. So moving on, I am going to go in with this amazing product by the name of Emerald Elise. This is an amazing product because it's a duo product. So it can work as a moisturizer, but also work as a primer. I will say if you have naturally oily skin, you probably do want to go in with some extra reinforcement after this product. But if your skin is like my model's, she just has amazing skin, it's just naturally pretty normal and naturally glowy. So I'm going to go in with this, and I'm going to take this and I'm going to apply this. My hands are clean, so I am going to use the back of my hands. If you don't sanitize your hands or wash your hands, do not use the back of your hands, okay? No, so we're going to apply a little bit of this to the back of my hand. And then I like to go in with just a small fluffy brush and kind of just paint this product on. Now this product, as I said, it does work as a duo product. So it is giving you moisture while at the same time offering you some priming enforcement for you to go ahead and lay your other makeup products on top of it. So I'm going to blend this out. A little of this goes a long way. I literally use probably like a dime size amount on the back of my hand. It's very, very movable, very, very creamy. So I would definitely recommend that you use a little. And if you need more, you can always add more. I always say it's easier to start off with less product. And then if you need more to build among that, but why waste product? We always wipe in the back of our hands after you put all that product out, and makeup is not cheap. So why, not just be careful about the product amount you use. So apply a little bit to her forehead. And now I'm going to go in with my Beauty Blender just to stamp it the rest of the way into the skin. Now, I love this Beauty Blender for multi-purposes. I'm actually going to focus mainly on the Beauty Blender as my main tool, using the minimal amount of brushes that I can, but I'm going to just show you different ways you can use this one tool for different parts of the face. So now that we've done that, I'm going to allow that just to set for one more second. And I'm going to get ready to go in and show you all this technique by what I like to call underpainting. And it is the concept of laying down your highlight and contour prior to adding your base. So this awesome concealer is actually by Bodyography. It's also available on the Blushington site. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this concealer and I'm going to place it to the natural highlight points of her face. So focusing on her under eye, her forehead, down the bridge of her nose, above her cupid's bow, and her chin. So I'm going to lay this product down. Now, when I lay concealer down, I like to try to avoid directly under the lash line to avoid myself from having creasing. So I find that if you go in and you apply the product right under the lash line, you're gonna have a more chance of creasing because you have so much movement directly under your lash line. So what I like to do is start maybe like a ½ inch below her lash line, apply the product, and work my way down. So I'm gonna apply in a somewhat triangular placement position. Again, avoiding directly under the eye. So if you can see, I don't have any product directly under the eye because what I'm going to do is move that product up again to avoid creasing. So I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side. Avoiding directly under the eye because again, we're going to blend that out. And I don't stress myself about how much product I have down right now. Again, I say a little is the best way to start. If I need to add more, I can always go back and add more. But I like to try to be very, not sparse, but smart. There we go. Don't want to be sparse, but we want to be smart in our product use. So I'm going to go on her forehead. We're going to do a triangular motion again. Kind of upside down, I guess. A different kind of triangle, but still a triangle. Her chin, above her cupid's bow. And then we're going to go right down the bridge of her nose. Now we're going to take that same Beauty Blender, but prior to my application, I did dampen it, but obviously by now it's not as moist as it was before. So I'm going to show you another trick that I like to use, that same setting spray that I told you I use for multiple things throughout the process. I'm going to take that setting spray and I'm going to dampen my Beauty Blender just a little to rehydrate it with moisture. So we've rehydrated this sponge. I'm gonna have my model look up for me. Now what I'm going to do is just go in with that sponge and I'm going to begin to blend this out, bringing my product down and then the remainder of it up. Again, I'm trying to keep the minimal amount of product directly under the lash line to avoid some creasing. We're gonna blend that out. And you can see how beautifully that's just blending into her skin without even us doing too much to it, okay? So I'm just gonna keep doing that. I'm gonna do the exact same thing on the other side, blending that product out, concentrating the majority of my product below her lash line, and then blending the remainder out. Sometimes I like to bounce back and forth just to be sure that my coverage payoff is, pretty close. Once you begin blending on one side with the Beauty Blender, typically some of that product is still on your sponge. So when you go out to blend the other side, you have more on one side. A trick to that, if you would like, is to use the other side of the Beauty Blender. But because today I am going to be using this one Beauty Blender for multiple things, I'm going to try to keep my concealer for my highlight on one side, and then my products that I'm gonna be using for other things on the other side. I'm gonna blend out her Cupid's bow. Her chin. Her forehead. And when I'm blending it out, I'm trying to keep my product basically where I placed it and then just blend my edges, trying to really avoid moving it too much. I am I'm very big on placement, obviously. I like to put my product where I want it to go. That way I don't have to worry about moving it around or necessarily doing too much reapplying. So I try to be pretty cautious about where I'm placing my product. Okay. So to blend out her nose, I want to keep this line structure. So I tend to let that set for a while. That's typically like the last thing that I blend out, just because I do want it to still kind of stay in that position that it's in, and I don't want it to lose too much of the payoff, the color payoff coverage. So I'm gonna let that sit for a second while I map out her contour, and then we'll come back and blend that in with the contour, okay? So now I'm going to go in with a cream contour. Now I am underpainting. So when you're underpainting, the concept is to use a concealer that's lighter, like maybe a little lighter than you would even normally use. Typically you wanna go like maybe 2 shades lighter, but for the concept of underpainting, you maybe wanna do 3, maybe even 4 if you're feeling a little risky. Hey, to each its own, whatever is gonna float your boat. But you definitely wanna go a little higher than what you normally would. Okay, so that's why this concealer is pretty bright, but once you see the ending, I'm like, oh, it makes sense. So now I'm going to go in with a cream contour, and I'm going to take this and I'm going to place it on her natural points of her contour, which would be her jawbone, her cheek, the perimeter of her forehead, and down the sides of her nose, okay? So I just like to use a brush to place this product, and then I'll use the Beauty Blender to blend it out. But I take this cream contour and I just draw. I typically like to use the middle of the ear as a focal point, if you can see that. That's normally like where I'm using that as my guide as to where I want to draw my cream contour, okay? So I like to just stamp that into where I want it to go. Okay, so I typically like to go about a quarter of the way in, 3/4 of the way in rather, avoiding not to bring it too close to her nose, because again, I am going to blend it out some. So I'm gonna blend that placement a little further up. So I don't wanna place it too far up. That way, you know, it still has a seamless blend into it. Okay, so I'm gonna do the exact same thing on the opposite side, using her middle of her ear as my starting point, and then blending the remainder around the perimeter. So going around her forehead. Again, being very cautious about my placement. Okay. And I'm gonna take the same brush and I'm going to apply this cream contour on the sides of her nose, okay? Now, when I'm going down the nose, I'm trying to be sure that I meet the highlight point, but trying not to disturb the position and the color payoff again. Like I said, I do want to keep that pretty prominent there, so I'm trying not to disturb it as much as I can. I'm gonna go back in with that same Beauty Blender. Now, I will tell y'all, Gerard Slay spray is gonna get a lot of use out of me today. Okay, y'all gonna keep on seeing me spray this, and y'all gonna be like, okay, I really need to get that spray because he done used it for like everything in this tutorial. But I'm gonna go back in with the same sponge. I'm gonna rehydrate it just to get a little more moisture in here. Now we're gonna take.
Elijah, I hate to interrupt, but would it be possible to just boost Destiny for just a little bit? I have a couple DMs coming through that they want to get up close into the makeup.
Yeah. Okay, stand up real quick. Let's move you closer.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can you get in?
See, I'm a little tiny. It could work. Okay.
Okay, hopefully that's better.
Thank you, Elijah. It looks good.
No worries. All right, so now we're gonna take that same sponge. I'm gonna go on the opposite side of what I was blending my highlight with. So this side is clean. This side is the side that I have my highlight on. So now you see why I didn't flip it for blending under the eye. So I'm gonna take this clean side, I'm gonna go in on an angle, and I'm going to begin to just pat it. Again, not really moving it, just blending it into where I placed it. So I'm on an angle on the side of the sponge. I like the tip of it, you want it to kind of point towards the ear. So I'm using the tip of it, that center point that I use as my guide. I'm using that same guide to stipple it into place. Now again, we are still gonna leave it slightly prominent because again, I'm doing an underpainting technique, which this will be blurred out a little with my foundation in the end. Look straight for me. So we're gonna do the same thing on the other side, using the center of the ear as my focal point of where I'm blending it out. And again, I'm just using stamping motion, just pressing it into the skin, not necessarily moving the product, keeping it where I placed it, and just stamping it into the skin. Following around the perimeter of her head, doing the same thing. Making sure that my cream contour is meeting where I did all my highlight. Now, when I'm at the point where my cream contour and my highlight meet, I like to bounce back to my other side that I have my highlight on and just kind of stamp that to help diffuse that line as well. Okay, so now we're going to blend out her nose contour. So what I do first is, again, my hands are clean. So if your hands are not clean, do not do this on your artist or on your model or your client. But if your hands are clean, go for it. Use your hands as a tool. So I'm gonna go in and I'm going to blend out the center, the concealer that I placed down first. It's been sitting long enough now. So I'm just gonna go in and I'm literally gonna just pat that with my pointer finger. Your fingers are great tools too for cream products because your body heat actually warms up the product. So that's another little trick. You know, if you don't have a beauty blender or whatever the case may be, we can make it still work. But you still should get a beauty blender because they're the greatest thing ever. But that is a little trick that you can really blend out products with your fingers because the heat kind of does work very, very well for that. So now I'm going to take the same sponge, go back on the side that I used the contour for, and I'm just going to press that into her skin. Again, I'm very cautious about my placement, and now maybe you can kind of see why my blending is just like kind of easier because I placed everything where I really needed it to be. I didn't really have to worry about moving the product to where I didn't place the product. I was very particular about where I placed it, and that kind of helps you with this step here. So on the same other side, I'm doing the same thing, just stippling it, pressing it into the skin. I like to make sure I go into the brow bone and all that good jazz, especially because I'm not doing any eye work today. We're really focusing on skin. So blending that into her brow bone kind of just naturally gives us the illusion that there's some contour going on in the eye as well. So I like to bring that up just to give that illusion that, okay, maybe there's something going on with her eye, but really ain't nothing going on with her eye, you know? So now we are here. Okay, so as you can see, it's blended out very well. You can still prominently see where I placed everything. And now we are going to go in and I'm going to show you how to tone that all down. So there's an awesome foundation by Becca. And this is the Ultimate Coverage Foundation. So for this look, I'm actually going to show you how you can take this product and actually dilute it some. So I'm going to take, I still have the remainder of the Ember Elise from the beginning, and I'm going to take my foundation. I'm literally going to just add a couple pumps to that concealer, to that Ember Elise, and I'm going to mix that together. So I've put the foundation there, and I'm just going to mix the two together. And mixing this together is going to make it not so full coverage and kind of give you more of a BB cream or CC cream kind of feel, if you will. So I literally am going to take this and I am placing this product. I am going to use a brush for this part. So I'll show you how I'm going to duo my brush and my beauty blender, but for the sake of purpose, I am going to go in with the brush here. So I like to use a flat brush, and the reason I like to use a flat brush is because I like to cut my contour with my foundation versus powder. A lot of people do cut the contour with the powder. That's fine. I find that cutting it with the foundation prior to setting it with the powder just gives me a cleaner line. So to each its own, this is just a technique that I'm showing you guys. So I have a little bit of the product picked up on the back of this brush. I'm going to place it exactly where I want it to go. And then from there, blend it down. I had my model put on these lovely earrings, and now they're in my way. But so I am going to blend that down. As you see, I literally placed it right under where I wanted to cut naturally. And I'm blending it down. Now, after I blend the jaw area, I like to go in. Now I'm going to go in on the sponge and just pick up a little product, and I'm going to focus on covering some of the concealer on her chin just to tone it down a smidge. Again, this is the concept of underpainting. So you are covering up what you've painted on, toning it down rather, not necessarily covering it up. So the majority of the area where I didn't have any product, if you notice, I didn't put foundation all over the face first. So now I'm very meticulous about placing the foundation in areas that don't have product. I am very big on trying to keep the face as breathable as possible. And I find that when you don't have to necessarily overlap or layer products, it helps your client, your model, whoever you're working on, it just helps their skin feel more breathable so they don't feel like they have a cakey makeup application or whatever the case may be. How does your skin feel right now?
You feel good, natural.
So see, that's like one of the things I try to keep focus on. So I'm going to do the same thing on the opposite side. I picked up a little product on that same brush. Turn your head this way from me. And I'm going to make sure that I place it right where I want to cut my contour. So I've placed it, and now I'm going to blend it out. So still being very particular about not moving the product, but blending the product where I place the product is really going to help me there. Okay. So as you can see, it's like really toning it down. You really can't even, you can still kind of see the contour. Turn your head that way for me. You can see where the contour starts, but it's like muted just because I blended that out with that foundation, okay? So now I'm going to take the same foundation, picking up a very little amount on the back of this beauty blender, and I'm going to go around the perimeter of where I placed the concealer, the light concealer, to help tone that down as well. So I'm placing that where the concealer stops and where the contour meets, okay? You can see that just like really like made a world of a difference on her forehead, kind of just toned it down. But you can still see the dimension there. I'm very big on keeping skin looking like skin. I never want makeup to take away the natural beauty that skin just possesses. So I like to work with a lot of creams for that reason, because creams really mesh well with our natural body chemistry. If you're oily, that may not be your best friend, but for people who have naturally pretty normal combination skin, whatever the case may be, working with creams is a very good thing. So now I'm going to take that same beauty blender, have you look up for me? And I'm gonna put very, very, very minimal product over top of this concealer here. And again, this is just gonna help tone down the color here. And I'm just going to go right over that, patting it in. You can see that literally just like made it look like her skin. It's just like, oh, that's supposed to be there. She's just got natural dimensions to her face, right? All right. So now that we have done that, I am going to get ready to set her face. Now, I like to do something that I call a soft set. There's another technique called baking. Some people call it, I don't even know, they call it a lot of things. But this is just gonna set the areas that I have my light concealer. So focusing under her eye, forehead, the bridge of her nose, her cupid's bow, and her chin, okay? So before I set, I have my model look up, and I'm very sure that I don't have any creases. Now, this is where this part comes. If you look, you really don't see much creasing under the eye, and that is because I didn't apply a lot of product directly under the eye. If you apply a lot of product directly under the eye, then you kind of run into that issue where you're creasing naturally. So you can really see she doesn't have much creasing. She has very minor creasing. So just for the sake of it, I am going to go in and pat under her eye a few times, having her continuously look up until I set under the eye, okay? So you never wanna set makeup without being sure there are no creases, because once you set it, you set it. So then you've set creases, okay? So just gonna hit that a couple times under her eye, being sure there are no creases. I'm gonna have her keep looking up. And then I'm going to go in with a setting powder. Blushington has an amazing setting powder on the site. I like to set with a brush. Some people prefer to use a sponge. I just find using a brush just makes it easier as far as my placement and my control. So I like to take a fluffy powder brush and literally just pat into the skin. Doing the same thing on the other side. Just patting it into the skin. And this is still going to give you the same enforcement that baking would do. It's just a little more natural, not as heavy. Okay. Look down. So now doing the same thing on her forehead. Her chin. And then I'm going to take the tip of my beauty blender to go down the bridge of her nose. Unfortunately, I can't do that with that fluffy brush. I mean, I would love to, but I don't think that would just work out too well. So we're gonna take the tip of this, apply a little product on the tip, and I'm just going to go down the center of her nose. Okay. So as you can see, her skin is literally looking like butter, okay? It's looking amazing. So now I'm going to go in with my awesome Kevin Aquan Neo Bronzer. This is in the shade Dusk Medium. So it's a very, very, very pretty shade. I'm going to take just a soft, fluffy brush. I'm going to pick up some of this product, being sure to tap off any excess. Can you hit that away from me? And I'm going to apply this right over where I placed that cream contour. This is going to offer us a little additional glow. Like I said, she's already naturally glowing, and a lot of that is credit to that amazing product I used in the beginning, Emerald Elise. But this is just gonna create some extra luminosity. Turn back. Turn again. So you can kind of see the difference is just created more of a glow there, okay? So we're gonna do the same thing on the other side, picking up a little of that product, placing it over that cream contour, and just nicely buffing that into that concealer. Okay, and we're gonna do this all around the perimeter of the face. Anywhere that I place that dark cream contour, we are going to set that now with this amazing bronzer here. It's literally like, it's giving what it needs to give right now. You see it? So very natural, very pretty, but still giving you that definition. Okay, so now I'm going to go in with a smaller fluffy brush just to concentrate down the sides of her nose. I typically, when I'm doing this part, I like to focus here at the beginning and then kind of just sweep it down any excess, but focusing more so on the beginning, just again to give that illusion that something is going on in the eye. Even though we don't have any shadow there, you can still create some different highlights and dimensions to give that illusion, okay? So after I have done that, I'm going to go on and move on to my brows. So now that at the beginning, I literally, did the whole brow gel technique, and that just helped me not only create a brow shape for her, but now it's going to help me with my placement of my product. So what I typically like to do, I'm very, very big on natural brows. Nobody likes a boxy brow. That's a no-no. So I like to go in and kind of just go along with the natural hair strokes of the brow, okay? So this is Anastasia. Look, there's somebody gonna be in the comments like, that's not how you pronounce it. Well, that's how I pronounce it. So I'm gonna go in with this brow pencil. It's actually called Brow Wiz, and the shade is dark brown. So what I like to do with this is literally just go and add dimension where I need to add dimension, okay, if that makes sense. So I like to go at the beginning of the brow and kind of just create my baseline here. Just going along her natural brow. Now, again, now that I've used that brow gel, it has given me something to stick to, making my product placement, my product payoff really like natural. It just literally makes your brows look like you just did your, natural brows. You didn't even add product to it. Okay, so I've done that baseline. You can kind of see I've just naturally traced out her natural shape. And then from there, I like to just go with her natural brow. So the beginning of her brow, the hairs go up. So I'm going to just take strokes going up at the beginning of the brow. In the middle, same technique, just following her natural brow. Going outer and then down. Okay. Now the top, I'm gonna do the same thing, just filling in where I naturally need to fill in, and then using my reverse side of my spoolie to just blend that product out. Like I said, I'm very big on natural looking brows. I think that when you have a soft brow, it just makes your face look soft. If you have a hard brow, baby, you might look a little hard. So, nothing wrong with having a little nice, little natural soft brow. And then let your skin literally speak for itself. So I'm gonna have you turn this way, and we're gonna do the same thing on the opposite brow. I'm going to start off by tracing underneath her natural shape, making sure that I'm not really creating a shape here. I guess I would just say I'm more so defining her natural shape. There will be cases where you will have to create a shape. Sometimes I'm not as fortunate to get a model like this or a client like this who has brows, so then I got to work my magic and draw all that on. But in this case, I'm very fortunate. I can just go on, with what she naturally has going on. So I'm following her natural shape of her brow, making sure I create my base. Now, me and Destiny have worked together quite a few times. So I kind of got these brows down now. However, she has one brow that is prominently perfect, and then the other one that just gives us a hard time, okay?
Yeah.
So this is the one that normally gives us a hard time, but seems like today she wants to cooperate, so I'm here for it, okay? So I'm literally doing the same thing. I've traced the base of it now, and I'm going to go in. You can look kind of straight though. Now I'm going to go in and I'm going to create those same strokes going up at the beginning of the brow. Making sure I'm very cautious of my placement because you still want it to have the hair-like effect, right? And the way you get that hair-like effect is being minimal in your product use at the beginning of your brow, and then being sure that you use a spoolie or something like that to blend it out. Okay. All right. So now that we've done that, I'm going to actually conceal our brow just a little bit to give us a little definition. For the sake of me not doing eyeshadow, I'm going to show you a technique that I like to use when I just want to slightly highlight the brow without bringing too much attention to it, because I'm not going to cover it with any additional products. So example, if I were to do an eyeshadow look, then I wouldn't be so mindful about placing the product and blending it out, because typically I'm going to cover it with the eyeshadow anyway. But because I am not using the eyeshadow, I am going to take that same Bodyography concealer and apply just a small amount. I'm going to take a round eye brush, just like a flat rounded brush. And I like to take that, and I'm literally going to just cut the outer portion of her brow. So that's all I'm going to do there. Typically, I would have, did the whole brow, but again, because I'm not applying eyeshadow and I don't want to disturb that natural contour that I created at the beginning of her nose, I'm going into her eye. So now I'm literally gonna just take my handy dandy finger here, my clean finger. Let's note it, okay? Clean finger. Take my clean finger and I'm going to just pat that, blend that nicely out. Pushing it kind of forward. But again, just allowing my body heat to warm up this product and really just blend it out naturally and seamlessly. Okay. All right, so we're gonna do the same thing on the other side. If you wanted to, I guess you could, from here, like if you're following along and for whatever reason you just decide, I'm gonna do eyeshadow, then hey, you can definitely pull that product further down and this could act as your eyeshadow base as well. Again, I'm not doing eyeshadow, so I'm not gonna waste my product because I wanna use this in my kit later, So I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side, picking up a little bit of the product and just cutting the outer portion of her eye. So I'm literally going like maybe, I say half of the brow. And then just blending that out. Okay. So now that we've done that, I'm gonna go back in with my beauty blender. Now, we've used this for multiple things here. So we have a little contour on this side, we have a little highlight on this side. So I'm gonna take the side that has a little of the contour and kind of just stamp it. And that's just gonna help me tone it down and just blend everything naturally together. Okay. So from here, we are going to prep and get ready for lashes. So I have this awesome mascara here by Anastasia, and it is Lash Brag is the name of it. So I'm gonna take this and I'm going to prep her lashes. So I like to add mascara prior to adding falsies because it gives you, number one, something additional to stick to, and two, it kind of naturally just blends them together. So I find that if I put mascara on first, let that set, pop my lash on, after my lash glue dries, I can pinch them together and you literally can't even see where, my separation is, whatever the case may be. I know a lot of people have issues with, oh, well, I can see the band or whatever the case may be. So I'm gonna take this mascara, look down for me. I'm gonna have my model look down, and I like to hold her eyelid up and then apply that mascara. She always has a little thing with her eyes where she's about to cry. So I taught her this little trick. If you breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth, it kind of like helps you stop tearing up. There's nothing worse than a client crying on you and trying to do eye stuff, okay?
It works.
So we're gonna do the same thing on the other eye. So I'm gonna pick up her lid and just apply that mascara. Now today I'm going to be using Ardell Wispies, these guys. So I will show you, I have stacked them. So I have two pair here. So I just took literally 2 of these and put them on top of each other. Now, the reason I did that is because we are going with such a natural look. I didn't do any eye work. I do want the lash to give a little extra flair. So by stacking the lash, it just gives you that extra, glam look, but still keeping it very natural. So I've done that. I have curled my lashes too off camera, but that is a technique I like to do. I can actually show you maybe the difference. If you see, like, I don't know if you can really see, maybe I should put it back down. The lash kind of flips up versus just sticks straight out. So it naturally like hugs the eye better. And I think it really gives you more of a, I guess, seamless look. It kind of just like amps up your look a little bit. So I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna place my lash first. I always place my lash before I glue my lash. That way I can see if I need to trim any excess or if I need to customize it to my model or to my client's face. So I have my model or my client look down. I like to put the lash where I'm naturally going to place it. Don't want to see. You know. Okay, so I see that her eye literally fits it perfectly, so I don't need to do any trimming. If you did need to do trimming, at that point you will go in and cut off whatever excess you felt you needed to remove. And from there, you would apply the lash. So now I'm going to go in with my lash glue. Blushington has an amazing lash glue by the name of Duo. You guys can purchase. That holds amazingly. It's latex free, which is an amazing thing too. So I go on and I apply that lash glue right on the lash line. And I'm gonna allow that to get a little tacky. But yeah, as you can see right now, like just looking at her, she just looks naturally pure and natural. I guess that was like the perfect name for this look because she looks pure, like an angel. Where's our halo? I should have got you a halo. That would have been so cute. So I'm allowing that to get tacky. It's very, very, very important that you give your lash glue time to dry, okay? There is nothing worse than a slipping and sliding lash, okay? So be patient there. If you need to, another tip, you could literally take your Duo glue or whatever the case may be, put it on your working spatula, whatever you're using, and allow that to get tacky while you're finishing up another portion of the face. So by the time you come back to the Duo, it's tacky because it does take a minute to get tacky. It's not one of those glues that you're just gonna pop on and then pop on. It don't work like that. So you definitely need to give it some time to get tacky. So be cautious of that. You can let your glue dry while you're finishing up your eye or let your glue dry while you're doing your brow, whatever the case may be. Have you look straight down for me? So when I'm placing the lash, I like to place it in the center and then work my way from center to outer, outer to inner. It's kind of like a little rhyme. Place it in the center, center to outer, outer to inner. Yeah, never even thought about it, but it's a little, I could make a little song. So I place it, tilt your head up just a smidge for me. So I place it in the center of her eye. And then from center to the outer. And then outer to the inner. Now these tweezers are from Tweezer Man. I love these tweezers. They're like probably the best tweezers ever. They're really, really good for obviously what I just did here, but then they're really good for cleaning up brows. If you have a random hair somewhere you need to plug, these are very, very sharp and amazing, amazing quality tweezers. So you can also purchase these at Blushington. The link should be pinned somewhere in this lovely tutorial. All right,
That was not bad.
So that's the lash. So as you can see, it's still natural, but gives us that extra pop we need because we don't have any shadow or anything. Okay. So now I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm gonna pick up that lash, layer it with my glue that I've already allowed to get tacky. Another trick I'll let you guys in on when I apply glue to my lashes, I like to squeeze a little bit of it out and then pick it up on a back of a brush or whatever the case may be. So I've used this just this small little brush here, and I like to apply it with that. It allows me to get a thin line and avoids me from having excess glue. Like I'm saying, you really want to be kind of sure that you don't use too much glue. Obviously, you want it to stick, but you don't want it to be overbearing to the point that one, your model's eye is glued shut or anything crazy like that. So I try to be, mindful of the amount of glue I use as well. All right, so we're gonna do the same thing on this eye. I'm going to go and I have my lash pretty much picked up in the center. So where I have it picked up is where I'm going to go in and apply my enforcement first. So inner to outer, outer to inner. So now that we've completed that, I like to just go in with the back of the tweezer just to kind of reinforce it, make sure everything's sticking properly. You don't want to go in with this end. I mean, unless you're risky, you can, I would definitely suggest use the back of the tweezer because you definitely don't want to go in stabbing nobody in the eye. I do have insurance though, so we'll be okay there. However, I just don't want to do that, all right? So now that we've done that, I'm gonna allow that to just set. And then after I allow that to set, I'll go back in and then I'll pinch them together and show you with applying that mascara deal, okay? So now I am going to take my Kevin Aquan bronzer. I'm going to show you how you can take this and kind of just add a little extra dimension. Since I'm not doing any shadow, I'm going to just show you how you can bronze up the lash line to give the illusion that you have maybe a little shadow going on down there. So I'm going to pick up this same bronzer on just a regular pointer brush, have my model look up. I'm going to go right under her lash line and just smoke that out a little bit. Just to create some natural dimension down there. Have you look this way for me? So just rubbing that nicely along her lash line. So now I'm going to go in, where everywhere we did the hard set, I'm just gonna go in and dust some of that away with a compact powder. Blushington has an amazing compact powder as well that you could use to do the same thing. Basically, I'm just brushing away anywhere that I place that setting powder, just to one, tone it down, and two, to just give a more seamless blend between my highlight and my contour again. I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna pick that up on that same brush that I actually used to set the face with the powder, the same fluffy brush. I'm gonna go in and pick up that compact powder. And I'm going to just use sweeping motions, round circular, and just sweep that product away. Again, this is just to tone everything down. Get rid of that cast that obviously the setting powder creates naturally. and just bringing us back down to earth a little bit. So I also like to go and just brush under the eye, making sure that I hit where my contour of my cheek and my eye meet. Making sure I blend that out a little. You can kind of really see the difference between the two. It's very like blended here, and then you can still kind of see the separation on this side. So I'm gonna go in with that same powder and blend along that line. Like I said, I go everywhere where I put the concealer. So even on her, right under her eye, just gently sweep there. Okay. So at this point, I'm going to go in and I'm going to line her lip. Actually, before I line her lip, we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna pinch these lashes together just to show you what that mascara, you literally probably can't even see the line. I can't see it, so I don't know if you guys can see it, but putting that mascara down, look down for me. Pinching these lashes together. Now, if you have fingernails, this probably won't work for you. But if you are like me and you have very short nails, this is the technique that you can do. So yeah, just pinching these lashes together. It's just helping give that, literally that seamless look there. Okay. So now I'm gonna go in with a brown lip liner. Again, keeping this look very natural. So I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna line her lips. What I like to do when I line lips, I like to have my model kind of give like a little smile like this on these layers. That's real ugly. Like I never saw myself do that. That was not cute. But so I like to have my model do that. That way I can actually see under there where I'm placing the line. A lot of times, just hold your mouth normal. So if I'm drawing one like this, I really can't see under her lip, right? So a lot of times what'll happen is if you draw their lip liner on when they are in this position, you'll tuck your lip, you'll have liner end up way below where you even need liner, right? Thankfully, people, typically nobody's walking around like with their mouth like that, so nobody's seeing it. But just for placement purposes, I like to have my model do that prior to me applying. Smile a little for me. So I like to start on my outer. And I work side to side. A lot of people would take it from here and just go all the way over. But now that I've applied this side, I go in on this side. And I do the same thing. Now I'm applying this on an angle. A lot of people go in directly like this. I find that laying my product on the side kind of allows it to glide naturally. Does that make sense? Opposed to me having to go in and then I'm like, so it's just a little trick that I like to do. So again, on the side, connecting my sides now. And that's the bottom. So it's like perfect, right? And it's literally because I had her stretch her smile, okay? So now I'm gonna do the same thing on the top. I'm going to work from my outer, inner on each side and meeting in the middle. You can not smile now. Oh. So now I'm going to take it and do my halfway point here. Turn this way from me. And then do the same thing here, halfway. Look straight. So now that we are here, I like to go to my Cupid's bow. I'm I love a very structured Cupid's bow. I just feel like it just does something to the face. Like if you got that lip, like you just got to make sure that Cupid's bow is on point, right? So I like to go in and trace my Cupid's bow. I don't worry about how far down I go. I just want to make sure that the top point is like on point, right? So I just take my pencil going from the top, going down, and then trace it above. Okay. So if you can see that just literally just gave her like kind of like that pouty, you know? So do the same thing on this side. I'm gonna take it and literally just draw it down and then connect my sides. Okay, and that's that. That's my lip liner. So what I like to do from there, because I am keeping this look very natural, I'll go in with a lip brush or a flat shader brush of some sort, and I like to fuse that line. So this is actually going to kind of help you create that ombre effect, if you will. So I just smudge that out. Diffusing that line. After you do that, it almost looks like she has a lipstick on. But diffusing that line and then going in, I'm gonna go in with just, I was gonna do just a gloss, but I think I'm gonna do a lipstick and a gloss just for the sake of this being so natural. I'm gonna go in with a lip color that's pretty close to her shade. Blushington has some amazing lipsticks as well online. So we're gonna go in with this, and I'm going to place this directly on her lips. Now, when I do lipstick, this is actually a cream lipstick. So I like to cover my whole bottom lip and then have my model transfer, pat your lips together, transfer the product from the bottom to the top. And then from there, if I need to add more, then I add more. But doing that kind of helps you seamlessly apply it to the upper lip without, you know, overly applying it. So again, going back to the bottom, applying this pretty neutral, almost like a mauve color, I would say.
Mhm.
Transfer, and having her transfer again. Now that I've had her do that, I have very minimal product on my brush now. So I'm going to take that and just continue to fuse my lines together. And that is that. So because I am feeling extra frisky now that it's all coming together and she looks amazing, I'm gonna go in with a lip gloss and I am going to just top that off just to create some additional dimension to the lip. I am all for a matte lip. It's probably like my go-to, but you know, everybody like a little shimmer and shine, and that's just fine. Okay. So I'm gonna go in and I am going to, a technique I like to do also with lipsticks. I have sanitized the back of this brush with alcohol. However, I find that applying a lip gloss on a brush can just be messy. Like it's hard for lip gloss to come out of, or cleaning, it's hard for it to get it out. So I take the back of my brush and I apply the lip gloss in the center of the lip. Pat your lips for me. And that way, once I'm done, I just take a makeup wipe and just wipe it off. And I don't even have to stress myself about trying to get that lip gloss out of my brush later, right? Boom. Cool little technique. Okay. So now I'm going to take, just for the sake of it, I'm going to take a blush. This is just a natural rosy tone. Smile for me. I'm gonna have my model smile, and I'm gonna apply this to the apples of her cheek. Blushington has some amazing blushes. And I'm a very big, I like blushes that glow. Like, I just think it just does something like, I guess, everybody to each his own. So don't be in the comments like, I like matte. If you like matte, baby girl, whatever floats your boat. But it's just something about glowing skin for me, okay? So I'm gonna have my model look this way. Smile for me. I'm gonna apply this on the apples of her cheek. Now, when I'm applying this, I'm being sure that I keep the product below the concealer, but I do mesh it in with the contour, okay? So being sure to make sure that I am aware of just keeping it blended and all that good stuff. And keeping it blended obviously comes from you blending. Like, it's just not just gonna happen, but blending takes work. But being cautious of your blending throughout the process really will help you with that, okay? So now we are wrapping up here, literally. So I'm gonna do one more step. I'm going to take my amazing Gerard spray here. I'm gonna have my model close her eyes, and I'm gonna make her go swimming one more time. Okay. And there we are. That is it. This is pure and natural. And there we have it. I hope you guys enjoyed. I can't wait to see your questions. And we literally did all of this with under 10 products. So I am very proud of myself.
Elijah, this is absolutely breathtaking. It's always so fun to host these masterclasses and see the different techniques that artists use and how everything has really come together with such a minimal list of products. I think really speaks to itself and your immense artistry. Before we jump into Q&A, I've been getting a couple questions personally DM'd. There's been some in the public chat. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to jump and play just a quick overview of our Blushington Academy program. Again, speaking to what I said before, Blushington made the little digital pivot. It is a program solely dedicated to aspiring artists, experienced artists. After the video plays, we will open it up to a brief Q&A, and we will also give you a special discount offer for you to shop with Elijah and get tuition off.
In just 25 hours at the Blushington Academy, you'll be ready to increase your earning potential and become your own beauty boss. Blushington Academy is valuable to self-taught makeup artists and for those that went to school and graduated. Blushington is an incredible place to advance your career.
The Blushington Academy is giving you all the industry secrets, tips, tricks that they know, and they are giving that to you in that 25-hour course. That's priceless.
What surprised me as a new makeup artist was all of the work that went on behind the scenes. The skills I learned at Blushington Academy would have come in handy 10 years ago when I first started my career.
Along with the Blushington Academy, you get your own Blushington kit. The kit is curated by their artists, so you get this amazing kit that you are going to use on every single client. Realistically, what you pay for the course, you're getting in the kit.
When I first saw the kit, I was like, wow.
It's rare to find a makeup academy that provides such luxurious products.
So to turn up our look, let's grab our eyeshadow palettes and look at the color choices that we have. I love this palette. The colors are so vibrant and so beautiful.
You are so overwhelmed with where do I start? Where do I begin? How do I get my name out there? Blushington is behind you and they are going to help you do that. You are a featured certified artist on their website. So if you're in Kansas City, Missouri, people can book you, brides can book you. Having a huge company like Blushington behind you, that is something that when you go to another school, you don't get.
Having a shop-in-shop at Blushington is going to be such a game changer. I'm always recommending wonderful products to my clients, and it's going to be so nice to be able to help them purchase products that I stand behind, and it's going to be nice for me because I'll be able to make a little extra income.
You educate your clients, you use the products on them, and they have an option to buy directly from you, from Blushington, so that way that's commission in your pocket. Why did no one else think of this? It's amazing.
Loneliness of the career can really get to you because you're essentially an entrepreneur building a one-person business. But with Blushington, I could create community and rely on them for encouragement and for business matters. I honestly feel that this course is an amazing value.
You'll have a lifetime access to a new group of makeup artists, so you'll always have someone in your corner supporting you and there to answer any questions that you may come across in your career. There are so many things that we have to learn the hard way, especially as freelance artists. Blushington Academy takes away some of the pains of growing.
If you are just starting, or if you've been doing it for years like I have, you can never stop learning. If you are getting ready to sign up for the Academy, just know it is just the beginning of your career.
Just to reiterate, the Blushington Academy is here for aspiring, experienced artists. If you have any questions that you may have about the Academy program, you can always feel free to DM us at Blushington or at Blushington Academy. If you have any artistry tips or want any artistry tips or tricks or any general questions about today's Zoom, if we don't get the opportunity to address all of your questions, feel free to DM Elijah. His Instagram handle is in the chat as well. Now, let me just get my little notes here, Elijah, if you're ready.
Mm-hmm.
So the first question that came through was from Britt, and she asked, you always do brow gel first and let it dry. What does that do?
Always. So like I said, I'm a very big fan of natural looking brows. And I find that if I'm able to place that product first, it kind of allows me to naturally see where the hairs are going. That way, when I go in to do my placement, I can really see where I need to do my placement, opposed to applying my product and then brushing my hairs where they naturally go. So that's why I do that. And I do that every time. Yes.
Jan asked, well, actually she said, I missed the sponge contour technique. Did you say you should use the point of the sponge faced upwards or downwards?
Upwards. So the point of the sponge, when I was blending it out, anywhere that I'm blending, that's my focal point. So if I'm blending towards the ear, I'm gonna have the sponge facing the ear. If I'm blending up towards the eye, the sponge facing up towards the eye. If I'm blending up towards the forehead or around the perimeter of her face, it's always, facing upward.
Rebecca asked, how many taps of powder or how much powder do you put underneath the eye? When can you tell enough is enough when it comes to powder?
Again, today I did a soft set. So I didn't bake her necessarily. When you're baking, that's when you want to probably pick up a little more product. Again, I did a soft set, so I literally picked it up on a fluffy brush and then tapped it off my excess. When you do a soft set, it kind of helps create the illusion that it is still very skin-like while being able to not have to really overly blend to get rid of powder. The longer you let a setting powder set, the harder it is to blend away. So typically I try to just use the minimal amount of product. That way when it comes to me blending and everything, I'm not really stressing myself about blending.
And we never want stress, right? So very good technique there.
Work smarter, not harder, right?
Nikki asked, and I think you did touch on this a little bit, can you use that same Kevin Aquan bronzer for eyeshadow as well?
Yep, so I did actually use that a little bit going into her contour of her nose. Again, products are literally multi-use, so you kind of just find what works for you. If you want to use it as an eyeshadow, use it as an eyeshadow. If you want to use a regular eyeshadow, use a regular eyeshadow.
And our last question, unless anybody has some more to plug in the chat, is from John. What do you do when a client does cry? Now that question's a little vague and obscure. So ideally they're crying because they're just, irritant to maybe keeping their eyes open.
Yeah.
So I guess to elaborate maybe a little bit would be, if you've already done all the makeup and you get a tear or two, what is your process of sort of saving it?
So I'm not sure if John heard my little tip as far as having them breathe in through their nose, out of their mouth. That really does help. Worst case scenario, if they do cry, I just let them cry. Typically, I find that when someone does have a tear or whatever the case may be, even like working on set, like reunions are stressful, people cry, and you just let them cry, and then it kind of just dries, and then after it dries, then you can go in and, try to touch it up. But touching wet tears, yeah, that's a disaster.
I would agree, especially for those of us with allergies, right? I think that's a really hard thing to avoid. So just try to work through it and make sure that your model is well taken care of and step them through. And Elijah, I think you did this perfectly, with the breathe in and breathe out technique.
Yes.
We had members of the Teknique team claim ownership of that technique. I believe it was Takoa. But again, this is all so super. we have plugged the code for 10% off products and Academy tuition. So without further ado, it is Elijah10 at checkout. This code is everlasting, so please feel free. Even after the class wraps today, you will be getting a within the next 24 hours, you'll be getting a post-class email where you'll get a full recording of this class, product breakdown. You'll get to shop directly with Elijah. And Elijah, I wanted to just thank you for taking your time out of your busy schedule, because you are on sets all the time and you have a full roster of clients. But to have you featured on our Blushington.com platform with your own shop and shop is just such an amazing opportunity to us as well. And we are so thankful for our Teknique partnership. We hope to bring many, many more future masterclasses to our platform. And it's just been an absolute delight to have you today.
Yes, thank you. It was so glad being here. I'm so glad that you all tuned in. I hope you got some amazing tips and tricks. If your question did not get answered, please, please, please DM me. I will do my best to get back with you. I promise.
Perfect. And I think we are all good. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Elijah, I don't know if you can see the chat, but a lot of people are praising you. So that's always great.
Thank you. Look, I can't see it. Look, these lights are like blinding me.
All right. Thank you very much, everybody. We'll see you at our next one.
Have a great night.
Bye-bye.